So what Operation Resolute does for us, when I'm able to take these guys off for a weekend and fish with them for 2 or 3 days, or go on a deer hunt, or meet them at the family day at the zoo, it builds trust that they could open up to me, and also that I have the time then to sit down with them, while we're throwing out a line or sitting in a tree stand or whatever, and they can open up about what really is going on. So it gives me the platform to be able to talk with them, and really what we have seen, the guys are just so appreciative and get to know me on a personal level through that, and then when we get home, they're going to seek me out because now they trust me and now they want to talk. And so really, it's not just the event itself, but it's the ministry it opens up down the road. We had one guy that went with us on a deer hunt, had a really long, distinguished Special Forces career, but during that it picked up lots of physical injuries, spiritual injuries, mental injuries, emotional injuries, you name it. And we didn't know at the time, but he'd actually contemplated taking his own life right before the trip. And so during the course of the trip, he had a lot of offline conversations with Joel, offline conversations with myself. And really another neat thing that I didn't plan with these trips is these guys really open up to each other about their combat experiences, and not in a braggadocious way, but in a like I understand where you've been type way. And just very therapeutic for him, and really re-energized him as far as I've got a lot to live for. That's not the route I need to take. And came back and has really sought out pastoral counseling, has sought out some more physical help with some of his issues, and mental and emotional health, and he's doing really well now. But that was kind of the litmus, the catalyst for change with him was being there and being able to kind of talk through some of those issues on the OR hunt.